Here's a headline I recently came across on malwarebytes.com. An insurance company is accused of using secret software to illegally collect and sell location data on millions of Americans.
Dun, dun, dun.
This may sound familiar. It's because it is. We covered when GM was doing this exact same thing last year, and they got sued for that and ceased to do it, or at least to do it without proper notification. So let's look into the article a little bit, and our software expert Tyler will weigh in on this. Insurance company Allstate and its subsidiary Arity unlawfully collected, used, and sold data about the location and movement of Texans' cell phones through secretly embedded software in mobile apps, according to Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. Attorney General Paxton says the companies didn't give consumers notice or get their consent, which violates Texas's new Data Privacy and Security Act. Sorry, apps and acts here. Arity would pay app developers to incorporate software that tracks consumers' driving data in their apps. When consumers installed these apps, they unwittingly downloaded that software, which allowed Arity to monitor the consumer's location and movement in real time.
Yikes.
That'll be terrible for a cannonballer. Using this method, the company collected trillions of miles worth of location data from over 45 million people across the U.S. and used the data to create the, quote, world's largest driving behavior database. Allstate then used the covertly obtained data to justify raising insurance rates, according to Attorney General Paxton. Allstate is accused of not just using the data for its own business, but also for selling it on to third parties, including other car insurance carriers. Location and movement data is valuable for insurance companies when they are preparing a quote. By having insight in the driver's behavior, they can offer a rate that covers the risk better. Saying it in that way, like they can offer a rate that covers the risk better. It's like, I feel like they can jack up your rate.
Well, and also like cover the risk better just means that like, just makes me want to vomit. Some PR company came up with that.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, though, Attorney General Paxton is the same person who sued General Motors for the unlawful collection and sale of over 1.5 million Texans' private data to insurance companies. As I mentioned,
I like this person. We should empower them to do more. Go get him.
Well, power corrupts. However, so a lot of people think that we're like bootlickers because we've covered some things that the FTC has done, some other regulatory agencies have done that we have heralded.
Seriously?
Yes, or like the Montana LLC thing where I'm like,
That's
it's
wild.
not worth getting sued by your attorney general versus paying sales tax on your car. Like that's a value, like the juice ain't worth the squeeze. And people are like, oh, okay, you're the guy that tells a teacher that we need to do their homework. And I'm like, no, I'm not tattling on anyone for not paying their sales tax. I'm just saying, if I were you, I'd pay my sales tax versus getting sued by the state, right? So anyway, I am not a fan of big government, nor am I a big fan of government at all. But I like a guy who, instead of suing its residents, its constituents, he's suing companies on behalf of their constitutionally protected rights.
Yes.
And saying, hey, you're violating their privacy. I kind of like it.
I cannot imagine the Montana LLC thing. I sort of get fine. I cannot imagine somebody calling us a bootlicker because we're happy the government like actually did its job, part of its job. You know, I just get really depressed about the state of technology today because it is no longer about fun, exciting, oh my God, I can store so many songs on this thing. It's here's how this thing can track you and sell you crap. That's like, or like make your insurance rates go up or whatever else. Like it is all just about profit and money. It was before, but it at least felt more fun back then. That like when the government can stick up for their constituents, or in this case, you know, the constituents in the state of Texas, like that feels good because a lot of the times I feel like the government's not trying to do anything about this. They're just letting the tech companies do whatever they want to do.
So obviously we can't weigh in on the ins and outs of the legality of this, but you are a experienced software engineer, project manager.
Oh, yeah.
You've developed apps. This is your thing. How accurate is this? Like, what are they even measuring to say, oh, we're going to increase your rates or we're going to decrease your rates? Or do they even decrease anyone's rates? Do they only increase?
I guarantee you, Doug, that they only increase. There is not a chance that they're going to lower somebody's rates because of this.
What are some of the problems with just doing this without consent? Or why did they think that they could do this? Like, have you run into similar scenarios in your line of work?
I have not run into similar scenarios because I mostly work with manufacturing.
Okay.
So it's not with a lot of end users.
You're not direct to consumer.
Correct. I think... So it is amazing the amount of sensors that are in your phone.
Sure.
That can... And it's amazing. We're starting to, in the age of AI, learn how machine learning and processing of data can help you glean information or trends. And it's amazing what happens when you put pieces of data together. You can probably tell when somebody is driving, when they've picked their phone up, if they're scrolling on their phone. Like there's
while driving,
which, for as much as I want,
okay with.
For as much as I want,
can we
people,
just bill people automatically? Yeah. Like,
I want
hey,
people
you're on
to
your
get
phone
tickets.
while driving. You've been fined $100. Choose to Apple Pay? Yes.
This isn't how I wanted it to happen, though, Doc. I wanted people to get pulled over and get tickets for it. But it is amazing that this data that can seem like it makes sense for an app to need to pull can be used to determine this and then sold off to make companies trillions of dollars, billions of dollars, however much, doesn't matter. So the one thing I would recommend to everybody listening is when both Android and iOS both do a very good job of letting you know when an app requests permission for things. And my default is either no or only while I'm using the app. Because there is no reason that Apple Maps or Google Maps needs to know my location if I'm not navigating. The whole point of the app is to navigate me or see what's around me. So if I'm not using it, that data's going somewhere. And I don't want to be like all conspiracy theory, but for the most part, we are in a world where people are constantly trying to sell us things or raise our rates for things for insurance.
I would say take it a step further, and this goes back to our favorite book by Matthew Crawford, Why We Drive, which is really an exposition against modern technology taking over our lives. We are not the customer, we are the product.
100%.
So in this scenario, it absolutely shows that, right? We're the product, and they are selling us as data. They are selling our data. They are selling us as a product to companies.
And even before all of this, nothing is ever truly free. There's always a cost. And I think we lived in a tech world where it was just cool that stuff was free or cost very little. And now we are seeing the back end of that, where our data is why things are so cheap. The other thing Android and iOS both do very well is give you indications of when your microphone, camera, and location services are active. There's usually little icons up in your top bar somewhere. That'll tell you, and you'll see them come up if you open up Maps and whatever. Pay attention to that. If you notice it's on when it really shouldn't be, probably turn it off. It just means that I'm not saying that you need to put your phone in a Faraday cage and never communicate. I use my phone all the time. I use it to navigate. I use it for stuff. But I'm cognizant of the companies trying to reach into my phone to glean information about me, to sell me things, or to raise my insurance, or to do whatever else. And I try to limit some of that.
In the name of giving you a good experience, right? Oh, we want to give you the things that you want.
Yep.
No, we want to influence your desires in a way that benefits us commercially. Yes. I'm totally the conspiracy theorist.
So there is a companion article on Ars Technica about this same lawsuit, and they called out specifically GasBuddy, Routely, and Life360 as other apps that were quietly tracking user data to sell to Allstate or to be a part of this. So it can be stuff that seems relatively innocuous. I'm assuming GasBuddy is to help you find good gas prices. The need to know your location to that for an extent, but only when you're looking at it.
Yeah, I don't have any of those apps, so
Yeah, neither do I.
I don't care about cheap gas. I care about good gas.
Yes, just go to a Shell. So yeah, this is these computers in our pockets are amazing things, and I was growing up when they were really cool and exciting, and now they're just kind of cool and a little saddening sometimes. But you just got to be careful because it's amazing what you can glean about a person from data that seems like it's, the identity's been stripped out of it, or it's not identifiable or whatever. Like, yeah, you can figure some stuff out.
What can they even determine, though, right? Because, like, GPS, do our phones have, like, a G-force monitor? Like
an accelerometer?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, I was going to say, because GPS triangulation is only accurate to within a few feet. So trying to determine somebody's driving behavior, like they're jerky or whatever, you can't be that specific with GPS triangulation. So they're using the accelerometer in your phone to...
Yeah,
okay.
Like, did it move? Did it, go up? Or, what? I don't know exactly what accelerometer data looks like, but it knows the phone moved.
But could that even be accurate, right? Because you could be accelerating slowly and, chuck your phone to somebody in the back seat, and then they chuck it back, and, you're playing catch with your phone in the car.
Doug, what do you do in the car? You probably shouldn't be doing that either.
I'm just saying, I think this way, right? I'm not a lawyer, but I'm I kind of wish I would have been, because I'm let's poke the holes in it, right? So it's well, we raised your rates based on this data. Well, how do you know that data was my car moving and not the phone moving within the car?
Well, and that's you're thinking of edge cases on a data set this large. For the most part, that's going to get washed out in people actually just texting on their phone or looking at their phone while they're driving. But the other thing is it's not like they were telling people we're raising your rates because you picked up your phone 27 times in the past week and you maybe shouldn't have. They just raised their rates. The transparency is also a problem. Because I don't even think that you could have fought that, because you're not going to find a customer service rep that has the information to tell you, well, sir, your rate went up this amount of money because your phone was just flying around in your car and we don't understand.
You suck as a driver. How do you know?
Well, it's the OBD2 readers that I think it doesn't even matter the companies, but
those
it was
were voluntary though.
Yes, but that was it's we're going to lower your rates for safe driving, and all it did was track you.
As a joke, I wanted to get one of those OBD2 readers that tracks your driving habits and put it into the car during a cannonball and then call the insurance company up and just be so, what do you think? Did I get a discount?
Yeah. I'm a safe driver, I promise. Yeah, so this is depressing on one hand, but on the other hand, it makes me so happy for large companies to... At least it seems like we're attempting to hold them accountable for being terrible.
Texas is anyway. So I guess that's why people moved to Texas. I think this was the same guy. We won't go down this road because it's politics, but I think this is the same attorney general that has taken legal action against the federal government as well to attempt to protect certain constitutional rights or things that he believed were constitutional rights. And it may be more controversial. Again, not related to cars, so we're not going to go down that road, but this guy's on a tear. So, that's better. Again, better suing large companies and large governments than suing individuals, like the states do to collect sales tax for people that
okay, Doug,
got their cars. No, I don't like that the states sue it, right? I think there's a valid argument for the legality, the technical legality of these loopholes to title it in a Montana LLC. I just don't think it's worth it.
Yeah.
Because you have to fight those loopholes. And I'm I don't want to get into a lawsuit just over that.
No, when I think about the rounds of taxes that the money has gone through to purchase a car and then the further taxing, I get a little depressed. But anyway, props and flops this week are brought to you by SwitchCars, Doug. SwitchCars is the enthusiast dealership where we buy...
Hold on. We got a great closing line to that. This is Allstate. After all, right?
Yes.
With Allstate, you're not in good hands, right?
Your data is, though.
Or yeah.
Well, not good. It's in hands. And they're going to do something with them.
You're in their hands, whether you like it or not. They should rename their company to All States Except Texas.
Yeah. We're not issuing any new policies in the state of Texas. Why? Because we got caught.
So we got to have the lines. All right.
So good.
Props and flops.
Brought to you by Switchcars. As you know, Switchcars is the enthusiast dealership where we buy, sell, and consign only cars that we like ourselves. Check out our handpicked inventory at switchcars.com and mention SwitchCast for special pricing. Find more information at switchcars.com or come visit our showroom in the North Pole, beautiful Twinsburg, Ohio.
-8 tonight. -8.
Whew. Rough. Alrighty, Doug. Do we have a pick of the week from Switchcars inventory?
2015 Jaguar F-Type R supercharged V8, 42,000 miles, black on black on black. Yeah, it's black wheels. That's right. Triple black, as they say. $38,000. A great sports car for very reasonable price.
F-Types are so good looking. I really like them. I don't think I'd ever own one, but I really like them.
The convertibles are my favorite.
So
the
good.
The coupes are growing off of me. I don't find them as impressive as I used to. I think the convertibles have a better line.
Nice.
But, yeah.
Nice.
Flop of the week. We got a couple here. As you may have seen around Instagram and TikTok and all the social media, there was not one, but two Ferrari F40s crashed over in Europe this week. One of them was owned by Lando Norris, allegedly being driven by his friend, got into boost, spun it out, backed it into a guardrail, very minor damage. The other one was being driven, this was confirmed, it was being driven by a mechanic, and it was rainy and wet out. Again, got into boost, then came off throttle. The car went sideways into the berm, flipped over. Looks like it's probably totaled, although at $3 to $4 million that they're worth right now, I'm sure they'll take the VIN number and send it to Ferrari and say, please build us another one.
Just get glued onto a new car.
Yes, exactly. So unfortunately, it seems like an all too common occurrence that we see cars wrecked by mechanics on test drives. I think just recently we were covering one in a dealership in Connecticut that was getting sued for this, and
yeah, I think so.
It's pretty crazy. Man, if you're working on a car, you don't need to hoon it to see if your repairs worked, unless you're trying to repair the boost.
It's like there is
the boost.
I was going to let you have that. Well, so
that's just a turbo, wastegate. There's a lot of things encompassed.
My
in
boost
that,
is broken. Fix it. Shut up. It's really there is a technical service guide. It's not the big books of service instructions for the Carrera GT, but it's like a thinner technical service instructions book or whatever, and at the very beginning it says in bold letters, under no circumstances will the traction control ever be off during a test drive, as instructing the mechanics that you never turn this off if you're test driving.
Is there traction control on a Carrera GT?
I'm pretty sure there is,
but not stability control, just traction control.
I think so.
Okay,
but it's kind of funny.
Not stability control. There's not even stability control on an 0708 GT3.
I don't think there is on the 996s either. Then I don't even think there's traction control on those.
The last
PASM
year there
or
might
whatever.
Be.
But yeah, it's kind of funny that in a Porsche printed document, this official thing, it says, don't do this.
It's not PASM, it's PSM.
PSM?
PASM is Porsche Active Suspension Management. PSM is Porsche Stability Management.
I just have PSM.
Yeah. And then
my sad PSM.
Yeah, it's PSM. And then PMS is... so the prop of the week...
Wait, did we do the other flop?
No. Okay, well, Elon Musk donated a bunch of Cybertrucks to LA fire departments in order to help with their power supply, which I thought was odd because I'm like, well, but they last 3 days. I think they said they can power a house for 3 days. And I'm like, so you donate a battery that needs recharge to help with somebody's power supply. Nice move for publicity, but...
Wouldn't a generator be more effective?
Yes, I have a $7,000 generator at my shop that can power it indefinitely.
Yeah.
Because it's hooked up to gas lines. And I have a $600 generator in my garage. As long as I keep filling it with gas, it'll go as well.
Yeah, this just feels like publicity.
$100,000 generator that lasts 3 days.
And then where are they going to plug it in if they're having power problems?
Right. I'm not trying to poke fun at all that is going on out there. It is an awful tragedy what is happening,
Truly.
and we pay our respects to those who have lost loved ones and property and stuff like that. So again, that is not trying to poke fun at that at all. It's just, it was an interesting news story in the middle of this that got Tesla some publicity, and I thought it was a little bit ironic. So, prop of the week. Our executive producer, Ethan, is about to be the executive of his new domestic situation.
Whoa.
That's an odd way to word it.
Well,
Yeah,
patriarchal, right?
Just say that I got engaged.
Yeah, you got engaged.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, this
Look
might
at
be
me,
a whole
Doug.
episode.
I am the host now.
Okay, last week we talked about low mileage cars, how they're, well, I'm just over them. Well, in perfect timing, Car and Driver had an article highlighting this guy, Kevin Enderby, who has 3 Ferraris that all have more than 200,000 miles. He has a Ferrari F430, a 355, and a 308 that he's put over 200,000 miles on each one of them. He said he's not added up the service receipts like we have.
Yeah, you just don't even need to know.
He said it's probably in the millions of dollars. He's got stacks and stacks. But this dude is my hero. The ironic part is he also judges concours. So he goes to concours and like tells people whether or not their cars are perfect. But then he drives the snot out of his and also shows them at Ferrari Concours. So
That's
anyway,
amazing.
this guy is, I want to buy him a beer, but he probably doesn't drink because he's spending so much time driving his cars. Like, never have time to get the alcohol out of his system.
Related, there's currently an 06 Aston Martin DB9 convertible for sale with 177,000 miles on it.
I know. We talked about that last
Did
week.
we? Oh my God.
It's Atlanta Fine Cars.
I need to lay off the sauce.
Atlanta Not So Fine Cars based on their reviews. Thank you for joining us for SwitchCast with Doug Tabbutt and Tyler Sanders, produced by Ethan Huffnagel. SwitchCast is an automotive entertainment and opinion show, and nothing we say should be taken very seriously. We do not give tax, investment, legal, emotional, or professional advice, and the only licenses we hold are driver's licenses. The opinions expressed on this show are exclusively held by the people pontificating at that moment and do not reflect the values of our producers or sponsors. Our theme music is provided by Emily and Ivory. You can stream their full album on Spotify or SoundCloud. If you like this show, you can stream it in its entirety on your favorite audio podcast platform. Check out switchcast.live for more info.